Tonight on The Night Team, Congressman Morgan McGarvey is adding his name to the growing list of politicians calling for the president to step aside and not run for re-election.
I think, that it's a really great moment to potentially name a successor.
But Biden's campaign has been adamant he is staying in the race. We spoke with Louisville voters to see where they lie on the issue.
I do think it is kind of too late in the game for a person to replace Biden.
And later,
Mary and Elizabeth Hospital Day. It's so special, 2 days in one.
A proclamation from the Louisville mayor as South Louisville Hospital celebrates 150 years of serving our community. The WHAS11 Night Team starts now. Politicians continue to add their names to the growing list calling for President Joe Biden to end his presidential bid for re-election. The latest is Congressman Morgan McGarvey, who we spoke to this morning on his stance. WHAS11 Night Team's Alexandra Goldberg and photojournalist Aspen Hester have more on McGarvey's statement and what Louisville voters are thinking.
This is not Joe Biden.
Louisville Congressman Morgan McGarvey is calling for President Joe Biden to step aside in November. In a statement released yesterday, McGarvey praised Biden's leadership, but said the stakes are too high.
We've got to have Democrats in the best possible chance to defeat Donald Trump and his version of MAGA extremism.
As more prominent Democratic leaders add their name to the list asking Biden to pull out of the presidential race, the president holds fast, saying he'll be back on the campaign trail next week. And the Democratic ticket is top of mind for many people.
We can't win unless he drops out.
One Louisville resident says the Democrats need to choose another candidate as soon as possible. She even wrote to the president and 5 other politicians, including Congressman McGarvey, asking Biden to step down. The letter says,
"You need to rest on your laurels and give somebody else a chance."
But others say that with only 4 months until November, it's too late for the party.
Not only do you have to replace that candidate has to establish, that relationship with the voters. Then you have to have a vice president nominated with that potential candidate.
Some voters we spoke with are calling into question Biden's mental acuity.
Well, he has a lot of health issues, a lot of problems, though. Maybe age is a factor.
Though some say to look at Biden's track record instead.
I think it needs to be like a deeper, what is he doing for our country? Like she said, the past 4 years.
Some calls for Biden to drop out of the race hinge on his health and his age. But for others, they say the economy is their #1 issue.
My view is compare our economy as to when Trump was president and Biden. The numbers tell the story.
Congressman McGarvey emphasized that the Democrats will rally behind whoever is on the Democratic ticket.
Our nominee is going to reflect that. We're going to come together. We're going to be unified, and I'm excited about the fall.
For voters here in Louisville, they'll be watching how this plays out closely. In New Lou, Alexandra Goldberg, WHAS 11 Night Team on your side.
The Biden campaign is emphatic that the president is staying in the race. However, should he drop out, Democrats are split over who's next in line for the job. Right now, the leading person to replace Biden would be Vice President Kamala Harris. However, some Democratic leaders want an open process, believing it would strengthen any Democratic nominee. In a social media post, New York Representative Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez said, quote, "If you think that there is consensus among the people who want Joe Biden to leave that they will support Vice President Harris, you would be mistaken," end quote. With the publicly aired deliberations, Democrats are prolonging an extraordinary moment of uncertainty and upheaval. This comes as former President Donald Trump is hitting the campaign trail, holding a rally in Michigan. This is the first rally since Trump's assassination attempt and the first with the newly introduced running mate, J.D. Vance. ABC's Allison Cossack has the details.
Just 1 week after an assassination attempt during a campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, Donald Trump back on the campaign trail.
I stand before you only by the grace of Almighty God.
The former president and his new running mate, J.D. Vance, campaigning together for the first time in the key battleground state of Michigan.
What is this campaign about, if not restoring the American dream for every child in this country?
This is going to be the most important election. We cannot let it slip by.
Meanwhile, President Biden vowing to get back on the campaign trail next week, despite growing calls for him to step aside. More than 36 Democrats in Congress are calling on him to drop out, including Zoe Lofgren of California. Lofgren telling MSNBC,
I think kind of a mini primary, maybe a vetting hosted by former presidents, including Obama and Clinton, would be helpful.
Sources tell ABC News Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, and former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi have all told Biden he'll lose to Donald Trump and drag down Democrats in Congress. Outside the White House, voters, activists, and organizers gathered to call on the president to pass the torch. One of the president's closest allies, Senator Chris Coons of Delaware, says Biden is listening.
I think our president is weighing what he should weigh, which is who is the best candidate to win in November.
Time is running short. Democrats plan to hold a virtual roll call on the first week of August to nominate Biden. Once nominated, he could still step aside, but the process becomes more complicated. Allison Cossack, ABC News, New York.
And new tonight, Donald Trump's campaign has released an update on their former president's health. The memo from Texas Representative Ronnie Jackson, who served as Trump's White House physician, says Trump sustained a gunshot wound to the right ear. And according to Jackson, the bullet came less than 1/4 of an inch from entering his head. Jackson says the bullet produced a 2-centimeter wide wound, and there was significant bleeding followed by marked swelling of the upper ear. According to Jackson, the swelling has gone down, but Trump does experience some intermittent bleeding, which is why you saw him wearing the bandage at the Republican National Convention. That white gauze has now been replaced by a skin-colored bandage. Well, switching gears to here for us in Kentuckiana, we did feel a little bit of heat out there today, Alden, but we got a little bit of a break from that sweltering heat that we've been seeing this summer. And right now, the big story is that we are tracking some rain coming our way.
We are, but no rain will be falling in our area for tonight. It's going to be staying dry, and most of our Sunday looks to stay dry as well. Our high temperature today, 89 degrees, low of 67, just about as typical of a July day you can get for July 20th, and still over 1.5 inches above normal on rainfall so far this month. So that's certainly a good thing to have in the month of July. Now sitting under 80 degrees. We haven't had any humidity all day long, but skies are mostly cloudy. But again, they're not going to be bringing any rain to our area. Max HD radar is completely dry. No rain showing up here on the sweep at the moment. And that's how it's going to stay over the course of tonight. It's going to be dry tonight. Temperatures aren't going to cool down quite as much. We should get down to around 70 degrees for our low temperature here in the metro. Again, that is a normal low for us, and our afternoon high temperatures tomorrow will be occurring in between about 1 and 4 o'clock, where we should see our temperatures managing to get up to about that 87-degree mark. But humidity, again, not really going to be a factor tomorrow. Maybe feeling a little more humid tomorrow, but still nothing that's going to be unbearable. Coming up, I'm tracking those daily rain chances we see for next week.
Thank you, Alden. Mary and Elizabeth Hospitals has been in Louisville providing patient care for 150 years today. Generations of patients from across South Louisville were invited to celebrate today. The U of L hospital was founded by the Sisters of Charity of Nazareth in 1874. The 298-bed hospital is continuing to expand its services, though, with a birthing center set to open this May. For the first time in nearly 50 years, mothers in South Louisville will be able to receive maternity services without having to travel outside of their community. For Jeff Graves, who has been working at the hospital since 1998, he says patient care has always been #1 for the hospital.
I want to say thank you to our patients. That is very important. We care. We care for them, and it really does bestow honor on us when they give us the opportunity to deliver care for them. And it's a level of trust when someone says, "You have my health in your hands." And it's a debt of honor. I hope we live up to it every day.
Louisville Mayor Craig Greenberg also issued a proclamation making today Mary and Elizabeth Hospital Day. A new report released by the progressive group Kentucky Center for Economic Policy says a voucher program would benefit families with kids already in private schools. According to the report, more than half of Kentucky's public schools are in 3 counties, with a third of those schools located right here in Louisville. According to the report, rural districts, which depend more on state tax dollars and typically lack private schools, would be the most negatively impacted. Supporters of school vouchers in Kentucky say the program will help families have a choice in their child's education. Ultimately, Kentuckians will have the final say when they vote on Amendment 2 this November. A yes vote would change the Constitution to allow public funds to go to private entities, and then a no vote would keep that money in the public school system. Multiple bills are already signed by Governor Andy Beshear, but they're having trouble getting started. This includes the so-called kinship bill, which should have gone into effect already, but it can't because it lacks funding. The kinship bill allows family members to apply for state financial assistance to take temporary custody of a relative's child that would otherwise go to a foster home. But when asked this week how they would carry out the new law, the Department of Community-Based Services says they don't have the money to implement the law. However, the bill's sponsor says the agency is supposed to navigate costs themselves.
We give the administration the ability to develop administrative regulations on how to implement. So they have full discretion and full authority on how they implement.
We are still hopeful in the near future that there will be an additional pathway for funding of Senate Bill 151, but without that support, the cabinet will have difficulty moving forward with implementation.
And the kinship bill is not the only bill impacted by an apparent lack of funding. 19 other bills are also in limbo. New updates here for you tonight. A 48-year-old man has been found alive nearly 2 weeks after he went missing in Red River Gorge. In a post to social media, the Wolfe County Search and Rescue Team announced Scott Hearn was located just before 4 this afternoon. Hearn went missing on July 13th. His car was parked at Tower Rock. In a new post to social media, Wolfe County Search and Rescue say they found Hearn near the Bells Falls. Hearn was down a steep embankment just north along the creek. A 5-man crew helped him up to the embankment and got him to an extraction point where he was airlifted out. Hearn was found after 14 days of being missing and 12 days without any food or water.